Hello and welcome to Ukraine Today. My name is Peter Byrne with the Press Review. Discussions between European and American leaders continue to dominate the news about the war in Ukraine, with German Chancellor Angela Merkel meeting today with U.S. President Barack Obama in the White House. Merkel, along with French President François Hollande and Petro Poroshenko, are tentatively scheduled to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Minsk on February 11th to talk more about ending Russian aggression against Ukraine. Writing an op-ed for the New York Times, Chicago professor John J. Mearsheimer writes the following: "Our understanding of the mechanisms of escalation in crises and war is limited at best, although we know the risks are considerable. Pushing a nuclear-armed Russia into a corner would be playing with fire." John R. Schindler takes the opposite view in this piece titled "Is NATO Dead?", appearing in The Interpreter magazine, an e-zine devoted to chronicling Russia's war on Ukraine. Since the Cold War's end, Western Europeans have convinced themselves of many things that simply are not true. Their optimistic worldview, which is really the highest form of the real Weltanschauung, abandoned any notion that monsters might still exist. And many Europeans, including most of their leaders, seem unable to accept the new reality that Vladimir Putin has forced upon them. And finally, Anne Applebaum argues in the Washington Post newspaper for a coherent long-term strategy to counter Russian aggression in Ukraine. Whether or not to provide arms to Ukraine is an appealing discussion, not least because it appears to pit the United States, Mars, against Europe, Venus. But fundamentally, it is a red herring. The armaments debate is an argument about short-term tactics, not long-term strategy, and it ignores the real nature of the Russian game. For more than 2 decades, Putin's record of success won him enormous public support in Russia and abroad. He crushed the Chechen rebellion, presided over military reforms, built infrastructure, and improved the lives of ordinary Russians. But the Crimean annexation last year was an unmitigated economic disaster, and the Russian war in eastern Ukraine has killed Russians by the thousands. How leaders in Europe and the United States plan on stopping him remains an open question.